Alright, before we run our Android application, we need to run it in a device, right? We can run it either in our physical device, on our phone, our mobile phone, our Android phone, or we can run it in an emulator, right? I've already explained what emulator is in the previous videos. So the first thing we need to do is to check if any device is connected. So if I should open my command prompt and type Flutter devices, we would see that okay, let's see. Found two devices, Linux and Chrome, our browser, right, and our desktop, but there is no Android emulator, there is no phone to run, right? There's actually no device. So we're working on our Android applications and we need our Android devices and our Android devices running. So I'm going to be running our emulator. I'm going to be installing our emulator and setting up our devices so that we can be able to debug in either emulator or devices. So it depends on if you have enough resources to run your emulator, you can run your emulator. If not, it's advisable to run it on your physical device. Good. So again, with Flutter devices, it gives us a list of connected devices and there is no Android device found. Good. So depending on the version of your Android Studio, we can locate our Android emulator. Sometimes it follows it when you install. Some other times you have to install it on your own. So to run our emulator, go to locate the SDK manager wherever you are on your Android Studio. As you can see, mine is here on the top of my toolbar, so I can click on it and I already have it here, right? Sometimes you need to take out time to observe the Android Studio user interface so that you get used to it. But what you need to know is locate device manager, and here I already have an emulator here already, right? So if yours is empty, you can come here to add a new device and create a virtual device, right? And fill the information of the kind of device you want. Pixel fold, I want pixel fold. So there are different devices you want. That there are different devices available, right? You can see phone, you can see tablet, Wear OS, desktop, TV, a lot of device emulator you need. So let's click on next. So let me refresh it and we can see different versions, right? So if yours doesn't show, just click on this refresh icon over here and everything is going to show. Which Android version do we need? So this is the one that is here, so let me click on it, on this download icon, right? And it has started downloading. So it's over 1.1 gig. So you have to wait for it to finish downloading, but I will not be waiting in this video because I have already have it installed. So once it's done, you just need to follow the instructions and it will be downloaded, and you would see it in your SDK manager device. So coming back here, once your emulator has been downloaded, you can see it. Again, if you want to add multiple emulators, you click on this icon here, add new device, and keep on adding as much as you can. So I'm going to click on this play icon, right, to boot up my Android emulator. So as you can see, my emulator has been booted up and we can move around and try different things. So this is the menu. It's fresh, so I've wiped my data and this is new, so there's nothing installed, right? So over here we can have the navigation or controls, right? So this is to minimize. Okay, there's no reset item. Then this is to go back and this is to go to the home page, right? So yeah, again, your emulator is just like your phone, but this time on your computer. And to an extent, emulator is kind of limited. There are some core features that you need to do with your physical phone that cannot be done using an emulator. But for basic running your app, widget and all, everything can be done using an emulator. So there are sometimes your system is not doesn't have enough resources to handle an Android emulator and it might be lagging. And again, you need enough RAM to run an emulator because it consumes RAM. So another alternative is using Genymotion emulator. If you don't want to use the Android Studio emulator, Genymotion is actually very light and it's easy to install and set up as well. So I'll be giving an example in the next video. So you can head on to Google and click download Genymotion. Okay, just download Genymotion. And so click on the link. So this is the logo, right? So you can click on the link to download. So I'm just going to accept all. Then click on download for Linux and it has started downloading. I'm on Linux operating system, so if you're on Windows or whichever one you need, it should download for you. I don't need to download it again because I have it installed already, right? So Genymotion has emulator for Windows, Linux, or Mac operating system. Um, I have it already, so let me run what I have installed. So you just need to install it, and it's easy to install as well. So if I should search Genymotion, this is it, and I have just one device here, right? Um, I'll go later. So clicking on this, it's going to boot my device, and it's actually very fast and lightweight, um, lighter than Android Studio Emulator. So this is a good alternative if you do not have enough resources for Android Studio Emulator. This is very light. So I'm going to wait for it to boot up, and we'll just move around a bit and go over to the next part of this tutorial. So as you can see, this is similar to your Android phone again, and yeah, okay, so I've logged in my email. Yeah, that's a notification. So yeah, this is just like your Android phone and it's very light. So it's also recommended and lightweight when looking for emulator. I think the other emulators like BlueStack, but personally I've used Genymotion and Android emulator, and I can say Genymotion is lightweight. So you can try out other emulators and talk about your experiences with them. All right. So we need to enable developers option in our phone to be able to use our phone to run our Flutter applications via our terminal or VS Code. So it depends on your device, right? I'm using a Redmi phone and it's different from Infinix or Tecno or other Android devices. So most of the time, I recommend you search Google to know how to do it. But first, we need to go to about phone, then click on the MUI version, right? Click on it multiple times and you can see you're already a developer, right? So again, in some devices you need to click on the build number, right? So again, search Google on how to enable developers option on your phone. Write the name of the phone. If you're on Infinix, how to enable developers option on Infinix. So now that we're now a developer, so you can search for developer, just search developers or developer. You can see developers option there, right? So sometimes it's in other phones is here, but it's on this page, but mine is on additional settings. Then click on developer options here, right? So we can see developer option is enabled by default. And what we're interested here is USB debugging and USB debugging and install via USB. Yes. So as you can see, USB debugging, we check it and it's going to be counting and would need to wait. On some other devices you do not need to wait, right? So make sure you enable USB debugging here, and and install via USB is enabled by default. So without enabling this, it will not work, right? We cannot build our we cannot run our Flutter project on our Android application. So make sure these are useful because it needs to plug in your USB to your computer for it to work. So this needs to be enabled. All right. So now that we've enabled developers option, let's go ahead to plug in our USB to our computer, right? So plug in your USB to your phone, to your code, and connect it to your computer, right? And an option should come out. Yeah, and once you plug it, as you can see, mine is showing USB debugging is on, right? So that is to show you that yeah, you've enabled developers option. If it does not work, either you check your code, maybe your code is not a data code, or you have to be sure that you are connected, you enable developers options, right? In some other times, your phone will pop up permission that you want to connect to your computer, right? So you need to enable the permission. So click on OK and it should disappear, right? So make sure allow from this computer is checked, then click on OK, then it should disappear, the dialog box. Then I think we are good to go, and everything has been set up for our physical device. I have my Android emulator running fine, right? And I have my physical device connected to my PC already. So I already have two devices connected. So let's test if it's working fine. Click on Flutter devices and let's see. So you can see four connected devices. This is my phone, right? This is my phone, and this is my emulator, right? So again, you can decide to choose any device to run, right? So remember, before we start, our devices need to be connected, either our physical phone or our emulator. So that's it. We've been able to successfully set up our project to start building Flutter applications. So see you in the next video.